day after media reports came out over the government mulling restructuring the composition of CAG, the government continues to in fact back that idea. Information and Broadcasting Minister Manish Tiwari used the example of a similar restructuring of the Election Commission in 1989 to make his point. However, both the BJP and the India Against Corruption have lashed out at the government for reportedly trying to weaken the Auditor General by expanding it into a 3-member commission.
I have nothing at this point in time to add or subtract to it. I think nothing can take away from the fact that when the Election Commission was turned into a multi-member body way back in the 90s, this is an experiment which has worked successfully. But that is not to say that you really need to extrapolate or you need to really emulate whether to embark on a particular course with regard to the CNG or not to embark on a particular course, is a collective decision which government has to take. And I do not want to second guess that decision, or I do not want to put the cart before the horse.
Friends, there are reports in the media referable to the comments of a particular minister in the PMO that there is an attempt to make the CAG a multi-member body. The BJP takes a serious objection to this very disturbing attempt. Of late, because of CAG, this government has faced a lot of embarrassment in Commonwealth, in 2G, in Colgate, in the report about airport privatization in New Delhi. And the very extensive analysis of the financial impropriety of this government has confirmed the impression once again that UPA government is perhaps one of the most corrupt governments since independence.
Whenever Congress was in trouble or faces criticism, they try to weaken the institutions. That has been the track record of the Congress party. Now they are trying to undermine the institution of Comptroller and Auditor General of India. PAC is a committee set up by Parliament, and its proceedings cannot be passed on to anybody, and nobody can dictate to PAC. The Congress party has earlier tried to tarnish the image of the CAG in the wake of observations damning the UPA regime over the wrongful allocation of coal blocks.
CAG को जो अब मल्टी मेंबर बनाने की अचानक सरकार को सूझी है, ये सीधा सीधा सिखाता है कि सरकार की नीयत खराब है। जरूरत ये है कि CAG का इंडिपेंडेंट तरीके से सिलेक्शन कैसे हो। ये तो इंडिपेंडेंटली इन्होंने काम करना चालू कर दिया और सरकार के लिए मुसीबत बन गए।
According to a PTI report, MOS Parliamentary Affairs V Narayanasamy had remarked that the CAG was increasingly making comments that were unwarranted and exceeded the constitutional parameters. He went on to say that he found Vinod Rai impatient and that every constitutional body needs to function within certain parameters. And there's been a lot of criticism ever since V Narayanasamy was quoted by PTI saying that the government is mulling at making CAG a multi-member body. In fact, Narayanasamy went ahead and retracted that statement, saying that he was misquoted by PTI. However, we are seeing a similar sort of a statement being made by Information and Broadcasting Minister Manish Tiwari today, saying that the 1989 experiment of the government of making the Election Commission a multi-member body has been successful, almost indicating that the government might not be averse to making the CAG a multi-member body as well. Our Deputy Editor Kartikeya Sharma is now joining us with more details. Kartikeya, but is the political environment at this point in time the same as what it was in 1989 to be able to experiment?
You see, that's the point I'm trying to make. This happened in 1989 because Rajiv Gandhi on his own had the 2/3 majority in the parliament. He straight away went on with the constitutional amendment. Congress had more than 400 members and he required help from no other political party. And to say that it worked in 1989 and will work in the case of audit is a different thing. At that point of time, it was EC versus the government, and more than government, it went on to become EC versus the political system in itself. That is why the protests weren't even from the opposition. On this issue, you have public opinion against the incumbent government and a perception that the CAG is doing the right job. So in case if the government goes ahead, trifurcates the CAG into a multi-member body, I think the electoral dividends would be so harsh on the Congress that it would be unimaginable for them in terms of return. And secondly, they don't have two-third majority. So if you don't have two-third majority, so I would say just noise and not the real step ahead, because unless and until you have the electoral or the legislative muscle, there is no way you can get this job done, because CAG is a constitutional body. For any constitutional body, any change required, you need two-third majority.